Hey, what is going on, class? Welcome to what I think is going to be the final video for the review stuff, unless anyone sends me, hey, please make a video on this. But right now, this is it. So hopefully by this point, you're somewhat convinced that linear programming is to your benefit, that it helps you with decision making, even if you never use it per se. Even if it's something that you are like, I'm never going to actually make graphs, I'm not going to make equations. That's too bad. You can make a slightly better decision. But even if you just let it inform the way you think, it'll change the way you make decisions. That when you're looking at something, you'll think about the fact that if you have two different options, there is a best way to do it, and that you'll kind of look into it. So once again, we're going to go over it. This, as a reminder, is your opportunity for a retake. This and the last video are the two things that should prepare you for it, because one of these two videos represents what's on your test. So I'm going to leave it to you. You need to read this. You need to read this prompt here, I would say twice, before you even try to answer the question. And I know you're in a rush. You don't want to spend 20 minutes reading something, which granted, this shouldn't take you 20 minutes to read. This should probably be like a 30-second read. Take a moment, sit on it for a second. Probably, I would say, read that 30 seconds through, take 10 seconds off. Just kind of mull it over, read it again. And this is how you should be approaching everything. When you're writing in English, maybe you like English better. English is a good class. I enjoy it a lot more at this point in my life. You should be reading prompts multiple times. You should read the prompt 2 or 3 times before you even start writing anything. And then you should read it again afterwards and make sure that you actually answer the question. But with this one, let's say you read it, you've noticed that your step 1 is the number of small sheds Bob builds, and Y is the number of large sheds Bob builds. So the amount of studs is already given to us. Mr. Miller was awesome. He did this problem for you. You've already got this one equation. You just have to get this one. And your reality bounds are already given to you here. Because realistically, it does not make any sense for Bob to randomly have another shed pop up that he didn't build. Like, that's just not going to happen. So let's just think about what small sheds, how much drywall does it take? Well, let's look at the prompt. He uses 10 sheets of drywall for a small shed. Hey, that's pretty easy. So that's going to be my 10x. I like to label these boxes with their variable. And 15 studs for a small shed, plus 15y. And the reason for that is I like to come in here and slap this plus and less than or equal to sign on both of them. That way I have it written out, my equation. Now I just need to take and solve this one for y and put it there. This one here is already solved for y in there. So let's see, 10x plus 15y is less than or equal to 60. I need to move that 10x over. I get 15y is less than or equal to negative 10x plus 60. Divide by 15, y is less than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 4. And that's my equation here. So now, come down here, we're going to graph this thing. Now, if you need help with the graphing, once again, please, 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 come in and talk to me about it. Because the graphing calculator is much harder to teach online. There's a video that should be talking about it already on the YouTube channel, but maybe you can't find it, maybe you don't want to find it. Come in and talk to me. We can go through this really fast, where you can just see how to do this. But when you do this, you should end up getting a graph that looks something like this. Approximately. Yours might be a slightly different shaped trapezoid, but it should look very much like this. What happened to my blue pen? Get our shading in. I don't like that. Remember, it never hurts to make things look beautiful. In fact, it's actually a really good thing to slowly start having more pride in your work and going, I want this to not only be correct, I want it to look beautiful. At the same time, the elegance. And in fact, there are some college courses where you're going to be graded off of what's called elegance. I know my computer science classes, so programming, was really focused on that there was an entire, I think it was 20% of your grade was just based on whether or not your program looked pretty. And really, I wish that was something we could do in math, but sadly, maybe someday. So on this one, you're going to do 0 to 10 and 0 to 5. That's generally speaking what I found made this look the prettiest. And if you need help with that, talk to me, but I'm going to give you the bounds on your test. So then we want to come in and find these points here. So on your calculator, you can find these super quick, but you should end up with getting 3, 2, 6, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 3. These are the options that make the most sense. Well, sort of. These are the options that maximize one equation over the other. So you can look at this and you can see, okay, this is the option that maximizes nothing. This is, or I guess you would say it minimizes. This is minimizing the amount of sheds you make. This is maximizing the amount of free time Bob has. So this option is where, okay, maybe it's hunting season and Bob is going for blacktail. He's gone. He's not building sheds. Maybe that's that option. Here is, what if Bob decides only to build large sheds? What if Bob decides only to build small sheds? Because 0, 6 is maximizing small sheds while having 0 large sheds. Or what if he decides to split his time and do both? So next up, we're looking at profit. So when we have this profit here, we want to come up and look for where profit shows up in this prompt. We see profit and 520, 390. So 390 on a small shed, so 390x and 520. Yep, 520. See, it's fine for you to go back and reread the prompt a few times, even throughout doing the process. And then here you should have some sort of table, which I always organize at X, Y, Z, and I like to put that equation there for myself. Just because it's nice for me to be able to go back and see what I was supposed to be doing when I was solving the problem. Make that a better 2. And you're just going to list off your points. On mine, I have it 3, 2, 0, 3, 6, 0, 0, 0. And you're going to plug these values in. So you're going to plug in, this is your X, plug it in. Our little equation factory here. And you should end up getting here 2210, 1560, 2340, and $0. Now, we see Bob wants to make as much money as possible. Bob's goal is not to make as little money as possible. Now, there are some people who maybe in their profits are going, hey, I want to make as little money as possible. Usually that's probably going to be because of taxes. That if you make too much money, then you get taxed more, and like if you make less money, you get to pay less taxes for profit. That's a whole other realm of mathematics that even mathematicians don't wander into often because it's called finance and it's a lot of voodoo in there. But sometimes you want to minimize your profit. Or maybe you're just doing something because you love doing it. Like I know taxidermists who, it's what they just do because they love doing it. It's a way to show the beauty of the world, the beauty of creatures that they have loved their entire life, and they're not in it to make money. They're in it to make just enough money to survive, but that's it. So they would be doing this to minimize. But the rest of us out here, capitalists and just selfish people who want to make money and have a good life, would choose the biggest. So you're going to pick the biggest value here, which is $2,340, which is considerably bigger than any of the other options. That it's way more money than this $1,560. It's even way more than that of doing nothing. And it's just slightly better than building small and big sheds. So given the choice, if Bob was deciding that he cared more about profit than people, your answer down here would be Bob should build only small sheds to maximize his profit. But let's think about reality. A business owner who is looking at the situation going, okay, I clearly make more money from building 6 small sheds and no big sheds. They can do that. They can totally just go, okay, small shed order, check. Small shed order, check. Big shed, not going to happen, and turn you away. But most business owners don't do that. Most people wouldn't do that because we're compassionate. And this is something to think about when you're making these decisions is, yes, from this you learned that this is the best option here. But this isn't reality. This is hey, this is my goal. Optimistically, if I can make 6 sheds with this material, it would be the best. But if all I've got is orders of 3 and 2, great, I'm gonna do that. Even though I make less money, this is helping people, whereas me holding out for this scenario might end up with this. It's better to take this. These are all decent options. Mine is 0, unless you're spending that time doing something else. But it's important to remember, this is optimistically. This is best case scenario, that's the most money you can make. But reality sometimes might dictate that you're not going to be realistic. You might not get to be optimistic. That any of these points in here, any amount of small and big sheds that satisfies this, work. Now, granted, you can only do whole integer values, but any of those whole integers in here work. That if, say, you had 2 and 2, that still works. That still satisfies it. It might not be the best, but you're good. You're in this region of possible money made, in a sense. So keep that in mind as you're looking at these kinds of questions. If you have any questions of your own, please come in and talk to me. That way we can work through this and get you ready for your final next week. I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're studying hard. That way we can have a great next week. It might be even, you could say, not too stressful if you've done the proper amount of stressing up till now. So please come in and ask questions if you do. I will talk to you all later.